evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us. This evening we are going to be talking about a project that some Vincentians, but not too many, would have heard of. That is the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project being carried out here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines through the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. The project manager for that project is Mr. Winston George. Winston, welcome.
Good evening, Jennifer.
Thank you for sitting down with us to talk about this project. It is a very important project and Vincentians need to know about it, what is happening, where we are and where we are going. So to get started, I would like for you to explain what is the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project?
In explaining the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, I want to provide a background to, in the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, how we came to being a part of the Digital Transformation Project. Now, the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project is being implemented in the 4 Windward Islands. It's a World Bank funded project to the tune of about 89 million US dollars. It has a regional component and it also has national components in Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Grenada. Now, in the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the forerunner to the Digital Transformation Project was what we call the CARDTP, the Caribbean Communications Infrastructure Project. And one component of that was the National Broadband Project. And that was implemented through a public-private partnership between the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Digicel. And that included the implementation of a fiber network throughout the country, which included the subsea fiber down to the Grenadines into Grenada and a festoon from Oya around to Chateaubriand. Now, with that broadband network, you also had placed on it a government-wide area network that connected all government offices. Also, part of the project included the introduction of a new PBX system. So prior to CARDTP, the PBX system was basically in Kingstown. Now the PBX is from government offices as far as Fancy, right down to Union Island. So based on that now, the government saw it fit to provide digital public services to citizens and to businesses.
Now, before we go any further, for those who are not familiar, what exactly is digital transformation? When we hear digital transformation, what should we think of?
Okay, a lot of us, let me just backtrack. In terms of the digital transformation project in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the government is spending up to 30 million US dollars to implement that project. Now, digital transformation essentially is using information communication technologies to essentially transform the services that we have. We do a number of things manually. Digital transformation could be found in your mobile phone. Before, we used to have this desk phone. We no longer move the phone. In those days, we could not be mobile, moving the phone and going anywhere with us. So what ICTs provide for is that they cut down space and time and allow the individual to access different services of convenience and so forth. So in a sense, what we are hoping to do, a lot of things that we do now in terms of accessing public services, we have to travel, we have to line up, the digital or information communication technology allows us to cut down that space and time. So for example, a farmer, it is envisioned, may want to pay his driver's license, but he is somewhere in his farm, but he has connectivity to the network, he has a mobile phone, and he can make a payment for his driver's license on time without moving from his farm to go to Kingstown to spend time in the line. And what that does, it provides, basically opportunity costs. So he could spend more time on his farm producing and getting an income. So that is, in a nutshell, an example of how we could actually transform. Another example, persons in the Grenadines they have to come to the mainland for certain services, and that may have some costs. Now they may be able to stay where they are in the Grenadines and transact services with the government. So that is what the aim of digital transformation is about.
Okay, so those are two examples. Are there other goals and objectives that you're hoping to achieve by implementing this project?
Well, apart from providing digital public services to citizens and businesses, the project is also aimed at making government operations more efficient. So in terms of the connectivity, if we look at government, most times we look at government as all these ministries and departments and agencies and so on, but several of them interrelate to provide a service to you, the citizen. Government is an enterprise. So there's one government, but there are many functions and many services. And what this digital transformation project will do is to indeed make government more efficient and more effective.
Okay. Now, when did the project begin? Because it has been going on quietly, and people don't really know much about it. When did it begin, and who are the stakeholders? We know government, but who are the other stakeholders?
Okay, so the project commenced in June of 2021. That is when they signed the financing agreement. But operationally, it commenced in November of 2021. So we have government, we have citizens, we have businesses. We also have our regional partners such as the OECS, ECTEL. We also have the ECCB. We have CARICOM impacts as well. They play a role in the implementation of the project.
Are there particular departments of government that are involved in the project, or is it like the entire government service?
So in terms of the implementation of the project, there are several government agencies that play a central role or would benefit from the implementation of the project. Now, the project is under the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning, and Information Technology. And when we go into the different systems, you will realize who are the direct beneficiaries in terms of government agencies. So we have the ITSD, the Information Technology Services Division, which is core to the implementation of ICTs and digital initiatives in government. We have the Inland Revenue Department in terms of their tax information system. We have the Customs and Excise Department. We have the registry, the civil registry, also the land registry. We have Lands and Surveys Department in terms of a land information system. We also have other agencies that are involved in identity, like the Electoral Office, the Passport Office, these agencies would benefit in the long run from some of the work that we are doing on the project. I think those, well, we also have the Treasury Department, which is central to the implementation of the project.
Extensions have already begun using aspects of the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project without realizing that this is part of it. For example, the point of sales at Inland Revenue. That's just one. What have been done on the project? What are the other aspects? And if you'd explain just where we are with the project.
Okay, so this project has a lot of elements and activities. And I want to probably look at the regional activities first because they impact the national activities. So at the regional level, they're looking at what you call the cross-cutting issues that support the implementation in country in terms of policy, legal and regulatory frameworks, as well as providing other support to the project. At the ECCB, they're looking at payment systems in terms of e-payments and so on, establishment of an instant payment system that you could use different modes of making digital payments. You also have, they are also addressing the matter of data protection and privacy. So as much as the citizens or businesses get more in terms of a digital footprint, you need to establish, privacy. You also need to protect people's data. And also another component at the regional level that we are looking at is cybersecurity. At the national level, we are expected to set up, also address cybersecurity, set up what we call a computer emergency response team. So, you deal with things such as hacking and all that sort of thing. At the national level now, we have several project activities that we are looking at. Currently, we are at the end of, we are just about completing a digital transformation strategy. We have held several consultations with different stakeholders. We have the consultant who is working with us. We are at the draft of that digital transformation strategy, and we are currently doing some validation of that strategy. Also, we are working on the infrastructure network. We are looking at the establishment of a data center. We are currently looking at the site to site that particular data center because we would be dealing with a lot of data from different systems. We are also currently we have a consultancy looking at the policy, legal and regulatory framework and recommendations for those for the implementation of the various things or systems under the project. If I'm to zero into some of the big things that we are addressing, we are looking at a tax information management system, a new tax information management system, and that would provide a lot of digital tax services. So where we are with this, we have published the requests for bids for different vendors to place their bids for the implementation of the tax information management system. The closing date for that bid is November 6th, and we hope early in first quarter 2024 to begin the process of implementing the tax information management system. Another big one is the electronic single window for trade facilitation. Essentially, that is a single window in the Customs and Excise Department that involves about 16 border agencies. So in trade, in import and export of goods, sometimes you have to go to different agencies to clear your goods or to export your goods. And you have a single window now where you could upload. We are looking at a single window to upload all of your documents and so on, so that the processing of your custom documents the time taken would be shortened. We are also looking at a single window for land and property transactions. And currently, we are at the process where we are in the process now of looking at the digitization of the paper deeds or the land records. Construction is currently being done on a place to digitize those records. We are in the process of getting the delivery of the equipment to do that digitization process. And overall, and this is a big aspect of the overall implementation of the project, is what we call the digital public infrastructure. And that is made up of several different aspects, different components. So we have within that, we have to digitize the civil registry. We have to upgrade the ID. And then we also have to have what you call a citizen authentication platform where citizens could log in and transact services with the government. And also there is a government payment platform. So that allows you to make payments to government. I believe it will also allow the government to make payments to citizens as well. So in a nutshell, those are some of the core activities. There are other activities like electronic document and records management system that we are looking to implement within government to allow for efficiency. And there is a component that addresses digital skills, providing on a demand basis intermediate as well as advanced skills training. So as persons, we benefited from some work done at the regional level, at the OECS level, where they did a demand assessment for digital skills at the local, regional, and international level. And now we have the training frameworks to provide that particular service. The other component, subcomponent under component 3, deals with the adoption of digital technologies in small and medium enterprises. And that is to look at some key sectors in the economy like agriculture, tourism, education, the cultural and creative industries, where that again would be demand driven. So as the firms come, we are looking to roll that out later down in this year. But suffice it to say, under that component, we provided about 6,000 tablets to the education sector under the project.
Okay. Now we have looked at some of the positive effects that it will have on the average Vincentian and society as a whole. We're looking at a more efficient government. We're looking at less time it takes to get business done in Kingston, so that, and as a matter of fact, you may not even have to come to Kingston to get your business done. With the push of a button, you can have your business transacted and you'll be on your way. I know people who deal with the customs in particular and port would be very happy to be using the system. But what are the downsides? Are there any downsides to this?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Sometimes with new things, you have those who are quick to jump to utilize them. There are others who would be skeptical because when mobile phones came, if we use that particular example of the mobile phone, not everybody went and used the mobile phone, but now the mobile phone is all over. Old, young, everybody is using that particular technology. What I first see, you would have the digital divide, and not everybody would be able to access or transact the services in a particular way. But we are catering also for that, because there would be service centers, hopefully, and there would be persons who would be there supporting them. So
technology immigrants would have help.
Yes, that is part of what we have thought about in different areas. Just like how you have the revenue offices, you may very well have a kiosk where you have someone helping the citizen to transact their business with the government. For example, I'm not going to give Flo any free mileage, but if you go into Flo and you want to pay a bill, there's someone there who assists you with just push right. So similar things like these we would look at. As we go digital, we essentially would have to sustain those services. We have to build the competence in country. So we have to have we talk about digital skills. We need to have our people, trained, as well as our businesses, to provide the support and maintenance to some of these, for these systems going forward.
The education component is going to be critical to get our people comfortable with using the digital system, because we have quite a few statutory bodies that are using digital systems right now. You could pay online, like CWSA, VINLEC, those organizations. But you wouldn't think so when you go to VINLEC. The lines are still long. You go to CWSA, the same thing, the lines are still long, and few people are paying online, but the facility is there. So if persons are not comfortable, and it is probably not because they don't want to use it, they just don't know how. So once they know how to use it, they're more likely to use it and not be frustrated every time they have to stand up for a couple of hours in a line. So I'm seeing a digitized St. Vincent where you have fewer lines, more businesses being done quicker, and you have persons having more time to do other things that could bring serious benefit to them. Because if I don't have to leave my house or my business to go into town and pay a particular bill at a particular place, I could stay where I am and get more done.
I agree with you in terms of the education. Certain persons never knew how to use their mobile phone to make a WhatsApp call or to even WhatsApp, but someone taught them. As the younger ones usually catch on to the technology and would teach the older ones. The other thing with digital services too, you do not have to walk with cash. So there are benefits on both sides. You do not need to walk with cash to go and make payments. I remembered, and I come back to the education aspect. I remember a few mornings back, I taken my mother to town, And she saw on a billboard where one of the credit unions had skipped the line, get online. And I said that grabbed her attention. It is now moving it from, just the tagline into the action, into actually doing that. But to do it, you have to do it over and over, and then it becomes, like,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. It really is, the education component really will be critical because the infrastructure will be there, things are ready to go, things are working well. And if you don't have that buy-in and, a person's really prepared to use it, then you might wonder. But because you mentioned ECCB as part of the regional component, and they're still having a difficult time attracting people to Dcash. Right. So the education is going to be key.
So let's look at this. So I talk about digital public infrastructure. Under this project, we are putting down the digital public infrastructure. For example, we are looking at the upgrade of the civil registry to make it digital. Think of the registration of a birth or the registration of a death. Now you may have to travel to the registry, but that probably could be done from a health center that is probably in some community in the Grenadines or in the country or something. A birth happens in an out district, and that could be registered quickly. Also, the registration of a death and so forth. All these different transactions, and what I'm driving at, you putting in the digital public infrastructure. We built the roads, and you had a few drivers, and then persons could afford. Now you have a lot of drivers on the road, and it is the same thing with digital transformation. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but we will have natural progression.
Yeah. The fact that we're implementing or looking to implement this now, it's not new, because like the registration of a birth, if you give birth to a child in, say, New York, they take all the information from you at the bedside. And you don't have to go anywhere to do anything else. Right. A few weeks later, a birth certificate will come to you in the mail.
Right. So actually, good point to highlight that we are looking at a pilot implementation of something like that over a period of 6 months to see how that will work. So those are things that the public could look forward to.
Okay. Finally, when are we expecting this project to be completed?
Well, the project is a 5-year project. So we have done a lot of groundwork in the last 2 years, and within the next 3 years, we would be rolling out a lot of the different aspects on the project. The project ends in 2026.
Okay, Mr. Winston George, Project Manager for the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, SVG. Thank you for your time.